everyone. Welcome back to Message in a Bottle. I'm Paloma.
And I'm Pilar.
We are two sisters and best friends that live far apart and keep in touch through what we call Message in a Bottle voice notes. And we are opening those up to you all with various conversations. So thank you for tuning in. Teacher, sister girl, how are you doing this fine week?
I'm good. I'm still in Madrid. I'm very, very allergic. The pollens here are very intense, and the temperatures have risen to about 90 degrees. So it's been a very drastic shift in seasons, really adjusting to that and just kind of surviving.
Surviving, not thriving, as we like to distinguish.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes the two only options we have in life, surviving or thriving.
Mm-hmm.
And the in-between. Ideally, you find somewhere in between, but...
Absolutely. Yes, but this is, it's temporary, but I will say, I'm surviving a bit, you know? And you? How are you doing this fine week?
I'm all right. It is also wild. Spring is, what do you call it? Pendulum swinging into summer quite aggressively. So yeah, I've had our first 90-degree day, one of which I was working outside all day, so that was a bit intense. But no, I'm doing well. Our lovely father, shout out Pappy, he is here visiting. So yeah, just enjoying some time being a tourist in my city.
How fabulous. I'm so glad y'all are together. And yes, I'm with you in spirit.
Yes, you are.
Love that. Well, I wanted to try a little something fun and fresh today for us, a little rapid fire of just kind of like a lowdown of what we're vibing with. So I'm going to jump through, and you can obviously elaborate on these like if you wish, but just going to kind of jump through a few little topics. So we'll get right to it.
Rapid
have you been?
Let's go.
Rapid fire. Let's go. What is your food fixation right now?
Protein smoothies every single morning. I bought these Jimungo bags at Whole Foods of berries, strawberries, blueberries. I put greens in there. I'm putting protein powder in there. I'm putting hemp seeds. I've got chia seeds. I'm getting hyped in the morning. What about you?
Smoothie is blending. My food fixation. She's blending it up. My food fixation is froyo. I'm so happy froyo is back. It was trendy maybe 20 years ago, like hugely, and it's having its moment again in the sun, and I am so here for it. There's a fantastic brand here in Madrid called Yao Yao that I can't get enough of. So yeah, froyo all day, every day.
I want to jump on the trend. All the froyo places in New York have crazy lines, but
we don't queue for froyo. We don't queue for shit.
I don't queue.
That's stupid.
No queuing for me.
I don't queue. No queuing. Like
if you're queuing, you are wasting your leisure time. You are wasting your leisure time.
The lines in New York have gotten absolutely out of control. I truly, like, the mind can't fathom. I really don't get it.
It's so crazy in a world in which time is money that people then spend so much time and money simultaneously. It's really backwards.
It's a double whammy. It's bizarre.
It's a double whammy. Yes. And again, I think it's a true luxury good to have that much free time to just show up and wait in line for 2 hours to then pay an overpriced amount for something that you could probably buy at the bodega or make at home.
Right. So you think that's what it is, just like a lot of leisure time, and it's kind of a telling of the times we're living in.
Yeah, for sure. And it's
very interesting.
I don't know. It's also just a place to be. New Yorkers live in small apartments, and then you're like, well, I could, like, the idea of hosting people at your house isn't that common for a lot of people who have many roommates. So even though you're waiting in line, that's a free place. You're a free place where you can be like hanging out with people.
So. Oh, wow. Okay. I've seen just a few lines here in Madrid. It's nothing like that, though. I've never once waited in a tight, like maybe a 1-person, 2-person queue for the froyo. Micah, the one that also is in New York that had crazy lines.
I did
wait in maybe
brand, right?
Yes, way too tart for my taste, but I did queue for maybe like 6 people, 7 people. That's
I think
about
my threshold
max.
is about 15 people. Any longer and you're getting into the 20, 30, 40 minute threshold, aka no.
Ooh, okay, crazy. What can't you stop watching?
I am burning through all of the nude project vlogs ever since we had our episode about that. That's what I've been watching on YouTube. What about you?
Obsessed. Speaking of lines, I still actually haven't made it because they actually do have a little bit of a queue over there. So I'm waiting until I can get in with zero wait, but I will get over to the store. This week, I can't stop.
You might have to bite the bullet if you really want to see it.
I might have to. The queue has only been like within my threshold, 6 to 8 people. So
okay, doable. Doable.
I will go. I think I will go this weekend. What I can't stop watching right now is commencement speeches. We're in graduation season. And I don't know, I kind of love an inspiring moment. I also love, I'm kind of like loving seeing all of these people spout on about AI and then all of the graduates booing them. Have you seen this?
A little bit.
Yeah. Just like, it's kind of ridiculous that, I don't know, this weird AI propaganda, and you're like preaching to a room of people that this is definitely impacting their job opportunities. Like, obviously, they're not hyped about you, like, trying to, you know, hype them about AI. So, but there's also, I don't know, there's just something so like hopeful about a commencement speech. And there was one in particular by Eric Church that he was strumming on the guitar and talking about how like all the strings on the guitar are different parts of your life, and when one is out of tune, the whole thing sounds off. And I thought it was a really, really poetic metaphor, and the way that he kind of like was, using music as a tool. I thought it was one of those
Is he a musician,
perfectly corny.
presumably?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so. And of course, I think like country, maybe, I'm not even totally sure. And he talks about like, faith and kind of these traditional things, but like actually it really resonated with me. So I highly recommend a watch. It was very cute.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's very wholesome moment, and this really, I don't know, I think there's so few moments in this day and age where people are coming together for the same purpose in real life that upholds certain levels of traditionalism and also is a huge marker of a turning point in someone's life. So I think it's very, very meaningful, and I appreciate that it's still being honored in that kind of traditional way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. What trends are you spotting on the streets of New York this week?
More to come, but summer linens have been busted out of their closets.
Big fan.
Lots of
Huge
cute little,
fan.
like, I would say linen little vests, kind of boxy
Cute.
linen tops. Yes. What
Very
about you?
cute.
Madrid trends, spring to summer.
The trends that I've started to notice a little, and then I think are going to absolutely take off, are red flats. And that is because of the red flat queen that went viral. My classmate was wearing red flats, and I was like, Gabby, did you see the video? She's like, yes, I'm channeling red flats queen. So I think just because of the Met Gala assistant who went viral for kind of like running around the streets of New York, like dealing with her job and stuff.
What flats was she wearing? Do you remember? Do you remember what brand they were?
I actually don't know the brand. I just saw that they were red flats. I don't know.
Because I saw a video, and now I don't want to misquote which one it was, but the brand actually came out with a commercial to lean into that fact. Instead of steering away from the publicity that they were getting from those shoes being worn by this assistant who went viral, they kind of leaned into the whole thing and did a bit of a spoof on her frantic energy that afternoon.
That's how you have to do it. You got to capitalize. And
That's right.
If I was a brand, I would do the exact same thing. I mean, I think her reception online has been very warm, and people are like, oh, who is this diva? And like, no one works harder than an assistant like during the Met. And she's just running her ass off, and she's back and forth, and she's, doing what she's got to do to like the dirty work. And there's so many New Yorkers that are behind the scenes of these major events, or, in any city, but of course in New York, these like major events that happen, and like all of the people, you see it, that have to bust their asses to make things happen.
Yeah, so we'll get our audience the right info on what that brand is, and see if we can link that other content that they created in line with this below.
Hell yeah. What heartwarming moments, a heartwarming moment that happened this week that you would like to share, or recently?
Sure. Yeah, I actually sent you a voice note after this happened.
A little message in a bottle.
This is a real one that I sent. I was very exhausted and I was commuting on the train for about 45 minutes and just witnessed a really beautiful moment of this older gentleman connecting with this younger woman on the train because of the book that he was reading. And the younger woman struck up a conversation with him, and they were sitting across from each other in the seats across the train. And yeah, they ended up probably chatting for about 20 minutes. And there was something so beautiful about the woman being intrigued by what he was reading and asking about his history related to the book. And then there was a young mother who came into the train with her baby in a sling close to her body. And she came and sat next to the older man, and he engaged with the baby and was so excited. He's like, oh, the younger generation. And then I saw multiple generations all talking in this space that can often be so anonymous and often can be so modern era. Everyone's sitting in silence in their own world on their phone. And I saw people taking that away and just being in the moment and brushing shoulders with other types of people, and warmed my heart.
It's so beautiful. And you sharing that with me halfway across the world, I received this note of this beautiful moment that you happened to witness, and that warmed my heart too. And I think it's really cool when sometimes you don't need to know someone to connect, and it's okay to connect with strangers, and it's beautiful to connect with strangers just for these fleeting moments, just to be absolutely in the present moment with whoever may be around and be open to maybe connecting and chatting and receiving information and all of that. So I was very inspired when you shared that with me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What about for you? What has warmed your heart on your end this week?
Recently, my heart was very warmed because I had a friend visiting Madrid at the same time as I have friends who live here, and I kind of got to bring those worlds together. And there's something really gorgeous about making connections between people that are in totally different stratas of your life, and worlds colliding and bringing people together and just kind of connecting. That really made me feel happy because it's different people who know different aspects of you, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I think that's really cool too. And one of the beautiful parts of aging are these moments in which you feel that you have your own evolution, your lives, and the paths that each of us have taken are so different. And then when there are moments where, despite how maybe the different places in the world we live or the different other lifestyle choices that we've made, where those different facets from the different eras of your life can overlap, and there's really beauty in that, and maybe reflecting on the past and bridging the past into the present, on showing people from the past your present outside of just them experiencing you in a different era. It's them experiencing you through the eyes of other people who you're close with in this era.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's something I would like to, as a lifelong goal, strive to bring people together. I think it's really important.
Yeah, we saw our mother do that a lot, so I think
We did.
both of us can definitely love to continue doing that.
Big goals.
Well, yeah, I don't know how rapid that rapid fire was, but
we took the rapid out of rapid fire, but I quite enjoyed it. We covered a lot of topics, though.
Maybe we need to rebrand that, but
medium fire, slow fire, slow burn. What are you inspired by this week?
Yes, so I think you and I both love a inspiring sports related film, documentary.
Inspiring, ding. Sports, ding. Documentary, ding. Those are I feel
like especially you love that. This week I watched a documentary called Fly. It is a Nat Geo produced documentary that I watched on YouTube, and it is about base jumpers. So there's multiple types of base jumping that I learned about. One is what you might think of right off the bat, which is those squirrel suits that people literally jump off of a giant rock
what I'm
face
picturing.
Wearing a squirrel suit. Yes. So that exists, but there's also folks that jump and parachute. So that's my understanding, is that the squirrel jumping is much more dangerous. And the parachuting can also be dangerous depending on wind conditions. And obviously there's a lot of other factors and skills and risk and stuff. But yeah, I was very anxious while watching it, and it reminded me of how anxious I felt when I watched Free Solo for the first time, which is the documentary where Alex Honnold free solos El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. And even though it makes you so nervous to watch these moments where you feel as if you might see someone plummet or crash to their death, there's also, for me, what I have felt inspired by is the fact that people find this thing that brings them so much joy and so much, I don't know, pure fulfillment in life. So regardless of the risk that they face when doing this, the reward is worth it every single time. So that's what's kind of left me feeling inspired. It's this weird feeling of someone who's constantly putting their life on the line, and yet also seeing someone who is more fulfilled than I maybe have ever felt for myself. And if I found the thing that gave me that feeling, questioning for myself, would I do it? Would I continue to put myself in that risk to get that feeling? So it brings up a lot of really interesting moral questions for me watching it, but I don't know, it's this multifaceted feeling of inspired, of tested, of really stripping life down to the basics of what gets us going, what makes people feel something, and what is the human body capable of, what is the human body mixed with modern technology of these flying suits, or mixed with the technology of these ropes that people have figured out, or modern navigation, or the fact that people can go up to these mountains and already have looked at the weather conditions and the wind conditions to optimize these moments when they're doing this to minimize risk. So in the modern era, more than any time before, there's so many tools and things that people can use to do that. And yet people die all the time still doing these things and pursuing these epic, extreme hobbies and sports that they do. So it's given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, it kind of raises the question for me whenever I see these really extreme free soloists or things that are so risky. Is that what living is, though? Is taking risks? Like the best part of life? Like what is life unless you're on the edge of what's possible, unless you're pushing yourself? Yeah, it's kind of interesting to get into the psyche of these people, and I do think, like you said, they do manage risk. They don't want to die. They want to live. They want to live to the fullest. Like
they want to live to do it again and again and again. And
yeah. So kind of, I mean, getting in the psyche of people that do these really extreme things is interesting to reflect on our own humanity, and it's cool. I mean, it's incredible that we're part of the same species as people that do this. I'm always blown away by other humans. I'm like, we're made of the same stuff? That's incredible, and I'm inspired by that and in awe of that, because it's really scary to think about jumping off the side of a mountain or climbing a mountain with no ropes or all of these things. And yet there's something within us, I think. We share a lot of that same makeup.
Totally. But also something so epic about the things that they get to experience. And there's the bit for me of this moment where you see some of the footage of them, the GoPro footage that they take when they're flying down this mountain, and it gives me some small percentage of the feeling that they must be getting. The amount of adrenaline that these people are receiving after those experiences, that's an intense vibration, right?
Right. And we get to parasocially, thankfully, through the art of cinema and documentaries and everything. Yeah, we do get that little taste to maybe put ourselves in the squirrel suit for a second, a tiny bit. Maybe not all the way, of course, but we get to like let ourselves go there and have those like brain exercises of what if, would I, could I, what is the equivalent in my life potentially?
Ziplining. Yeah. That's about as extreme as I'll go.
I love inspirational sports. I will definitely have to check that out, because although, yes, I don't consider myself much of a sportswoman or sportsman myself, there's something about it that's so pure. It's so pure. It's doing something for the sake of doing it a lot of the times. It's just to feel something, man.
Yeah.
For the pursuit of greatness, kind of, or the pursuit
of greatness, absolutely. And there are certain people that truly that is the mode that their brain is set on, is I must be the best. I must get better, and I must dedicate myself wholeheartedly to this. And that's quite inspiring as a person who maybe, especially when it comes to sports, it's like, I'll dabble. Dabble with all, master of none. So,
great, Reco.
yes,
Absolutely.
that's what
Love
has
to
me
check that out.
feeling inspired. Check it out. We will link that below. What about you? What has you inspired?
This week, I came across the artist Yungblud speaking about a festival that he started. This is a conversation that we talked about when Coachella was happening, inaccessibility of music in the modern age. And again, one of our favorite topics, the way art and capitalism continue to collide. In 2004, Yungblud started Bloodfest. It's a festival with the goal of keeping ticket prices low and accessible. And basically quoting him, he said, "Everyone, no matter their stature, deserves a place to go and great things to experience." So his goals are to keep the ticket prices low, keep the experience beautiful, and allow people to come together. And I think there's no more pure pursuit than that. I really appreciate any time someone who has power in our society takes a stand to try to make things better, takes a stand to reject capitalism. He's losing out on money by doing this, potentially, certainly, and yet he prioritizes community and the future, basically the future of humanity. And he talks about how important and formative it was for his identity to go to shows and to make friends with people whose ideas were mutual to him, and to have fun, and to learn from watching those musicians. So he wants to share that with the world. So I'm really inspired by that pursuit.
Yeah, it's cool. I know a little bit about him. He's very charming. That's how I would describe him. He's I feel like his vibe is from another era, old school rock and roll, right? He loves the Osbournes. Is that right? Yeah,
and he has a
big.
connection to them, I believe.
Yeah, he does. I believe he was asked to sing like a tribute to Ozzy Osbourne at some sort of major public event in recent months or in the last year. And yeah, there's something really cool about his energy. I think the way that he connects with his fans and his audience. He's from, I can't remember where, somewhere in the UK, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so I think he's a great person to be inspired by, both the general vibe that he brings. I think the energy, I think the deep, authentic love that he has of bringing the music, bringing a show. You can see the joy that he has to be up there on stage, and the fact that he's backing it up by ensuring that this is accessible to his fans is awesome. And I think we, time and time again, have been inspired by artists who take a stance and put their money where their mouth is.
Mm-hmm. And leave money on the table in the pursuit of what's better for the world.
Absolutely. Love it. Well, let us move into our musing of the week. We're going to have...
do it.
Well, I kind of preface for our audience, think this combo might need to be expanded into more than one episode. So bear with us as we navigate a huge topic that very multifaceted. And yeah, I might actually kick it off to you to start us off. But the general overall topic is human optimization, biohacking, looksmaxxing, the cultural moment in which, from multiple angles, we societally, culturally are obsessed with looking on the outside and on the inside, being the most hot, the most healthy, the most hormonally balanced, the most, for basically the pursuit of having a higher social status. So that is the topic in which we will delve. And yeah, I'll kick it to you, see where you want to lead us into this.
This is a fascinating topic. I would love to contextualize us in where we are in 2026 and throw a little bit of history, because I do think pursuit of aesthetics and looks, especially, is nothing new, especially for women in our society, reflecting on the way we grew up with like Cosmo magazine, every source of media telling us this message. Like, this message is not new. Like, be hot, be for the male gaze, look a certain way. It's very important, I think, has always been told to us that it's important as a woman, especially, to look a certain way. And I pulled some of the 2000s language that was used, some things that might spark some memories for y'all who were around for this. Glow ups, makeovers, new year, new you, beach body, skinny jeans, a lot of things, especially for the male gaze, like catch his eye, guy approved makeup, age defying. And then I want to juxtapose with a little bit of the way that the manosphere has appropriated this idea of looking hot to increase your social status. And a lot of that is through this language that this ridiculous person named Clavicular has been talking about. He's definitely not the only one, but he's quite a prominent figure. Looksmaxxing, mogging, which is a hilarious. Do you know about mogging?
I judge the Gen Z words, but looksmaxxing is a fire word. But mogging makes no sense. There's no derivative from another word that already exists. So the word glow up is a word that makes sense, right? From the 2000s, which my understanding is mogging is basically a glow up, right?
No. Mogging is actually kind of this competitive thing. So, for example, Clavicular was recently in court, and don't quote me on this, but I think he punched an alligator in Florida, and he was in court. He was in court. I know. And this judge, where did they find this judge? Chiseled jawline. It's like very kind of hot, honestly. And everyone's saying the judge was mogging him because he's hotter than him. So it's kind of this competitive thing where, like, you know, two friends in a photo and one person's like way hotter. That person is mogging the other person. So I think that, to me, this is like kind of a new concept. I've always thought association by hotness. If your friends are hot, you kind of look hotter. But this is the idea of very competitive. Like, oh, he makes me look bad because he's mogging me because he looks hotter than me. It's so ridiculous. Yes. The maxing thing I love because everyone's been maxing everything now. People are Jimmy Buffett maxing by listening to a bunch of Jimmy Buffett. I'm Madrid maxing right now. Like, it's just, I think it's hilarious and I think it's really fun language to play with. Whatever you're doing can be maxing. Some other words that are being thrown around, face card, I think is...
What is the face card?
Like, if you have a face card, you're just like, you got a hot face.
Oh, so it's the opposite of a butter face.
Yeah, like
you can pull the face card if you have. Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally. Aura, I think you and I like to use this. To me, we use aura.
I'm not big on aura, actually. I feel like it's kind of a weird vibe. Yeah.
Oh, I see aura not as only looks, but I think aura is actually just charisma, in my opinion. That's
okay. So I actually talked to someone about this, that basically they were saying that they think that aura is a word that's being used in the hetero space in instances where men are basically commenting on the vibe of another man, and it's this like weird word that's become like socially acceptable to comment on their vibe, or if they're cool or if they're not. And it's so funny because that's traditionally a space in which you would maybe not comment on other men. And so it's this word that now it's like, oh, that guy's got a good aura or whatever. And so, I don't know. I think
interesting.
To me, it's kind of wrapped up a little bit in maybe hopefully disentangling some of the male toxic trends and the things that men are trying to unlearn.
Okay to say
guy's dope, that guy's cool, and now that's like, I think in our era in the early 2000s, if you were to comment on a man in that way, people would have made insane, ridiculous jokes accusing you of being gay. And so to me, it seems like an evolution of that that is socially acceptable to comment without that assumption. But curious how other people are interacting with that word and how they're hearing about it. So if any of our audience has more insight or thoughts on the matter, would be very curious, because we talk about this a lot. Language is an organism. It is constantly evolving, constantly changing. Words emerge. The way that it was initially used might become co-opted, might change, and the way that it also might be used by different populations can be very unique. So I think for you and I, as it relates to this category, in and of itself, the language is really interesting to dig into and to think about how it's changing, how we relate to the actual physical things that they're representing.
Even the word optimization in general. Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, to me, it's also related to the biohacking. Like the fact that, again, that's a made up word, biohacking. The concept of biohacking would essentially constitute any sort of usage of supplements, extreme dieting, potentially working to rebalance or balance your hormones. So that relates to anything maybe biologically, hence the biohacking, where you're hacking into your biology in order to make sure you're the healthiest, you're carrying the least amount of water weight, to make sure your hormones aren't making you break out with acne. And it's interesting because I think the biohacking and the optimization isn't, in some ways, you're like, oh, people are trying to be healthy and eat well and combat the toxic food system and combat the fact that all of our world, most of the built world is being built with toxic chemicals. At face value, I think the objective is good, but I think the modern usage of it becomes too extreme and is also deeply privileged maybe to be able to spend the time and money and energy, and then also the end goal. Like, what are you doing it for? I don't always think people are just doing it to feel the best, but it's often associated with the physical outcome of the way that you're going to look, and therefore the way that you're being received and perceived and welcomed and accepted into society and different societal groups.
Why do you think we've gone further towards prioritizing aesthetics and outward appearance and less towards maybe valuing like intelligence or like internal things as we are here in the future? Like, why do you think that was prioritized? Do you have any like theories about this?
I mean, I've heard a lot of interesting things about the fact that people in modern society see their likeness and their faces more than in any other time in human history. So obviously, that first started with mirrors, back whenever that was, when people started seeing their reflection more consistently and started using their reflection to put makeup on or to get dressed or to, check on whatever was happening. And then now in this modern era where people are constantly looking at their likeness in photos, posting their likeness on the internet, reflecting on those photos, editing those photos, altering those photos, we're seeing ourselves and we're seeing other people and that comparison piece. So I think that that's certainly a major component as to why this is happening, because it's unavoidable. It's so in your face all the time. Even the Zoom era, even the fact that in a workplace setting, when I'm in a work meeting, I'm no longer just looking at my colleagues. I am looking at myself.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And the way that I am speaking.
I hate to say it, but more myself than others. I can't help myself. I don't know. It's probably human nature.
It's your dirty little secret.
I think it's pretty common. I think most of it. I don't know, though. Are y'all looking at yourselves on Zoom calls? Yeah, like you just can't help yourself.
I mean, even as I edit our podcast, let's face it, I'm looking at me more than you.
Of course. It's just human nature. So you're so right. It's just our face is in our face and we can't help it. And then the comparison piece, you can't ignore, social media, AI, etc. when it comes to where we're at.
I feel like there was an era in which, like when we were growing up, plastic surgery was around and was kind of a thing. But I think at that time, terrible words were being used, like, oh, she looks like a bimbo, or she looks like a cake face, or there was a lot of negative descriptors to describe people who were looksmaxxing, basically, and utilizing maybe more extreme methods by which they were altering physically or with adding of things, Botox or whatever. And then we've really turned a corner in which I think the stigma has completely gone away. And now it's so commonplace and socially accepted and sometimes socially encouraged for women in particular to utilize elective surgery to change their physical appearance. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about why that stigma went away.
Yeah, and I would love to extend this to the male side too, because I think men are getting hair transplants and that's encouraged by society. I think men are doing a lot of things to optimize their appearance. I still think women more, but I don't want to exclude that from the conversation because I think that's all become really socially acceptable too.
And at around the same time, it seems like both at the same time, right? Like back in the day, it was, I would argue, mostly women that were doing it,
Yes.
and it was being stigmatized. And now it's everyone and their mother, and their father, maybe,
Right.
who's doing this. And now it's become encouraged. So I don't know if it's because the surgeries are cheaper and
Yeah, more
genuinely,
accessible.
yeah, more economically accessible, could be
Right.
part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because more celebrities who people respect are doing it. So it's not just people, the bimbo side of things. Oh, well, that's someone I associate with being trashy, or someone I associate with this type of crowd or that type of crowd. And therefore we don't think it as being cool. But when you hear about a celebrity that you think is classy, or someone that you respect also getting those surgeries, or really, I think there has been a bit of a trend of celebrities being more public facing and owning the moment in which they did this. They said, yeah, I did it. And so what? It's my choice, my body, and I
Yeah.
get to do that for myself.
Yeah. I think it's all of those things. It's the transparency, the online transparency, I think, of people saying that they've gotten it. And the work's gotten better, I will say, too. So I think it's less scary. There's a lot of things that are less invasive that people see as optimizing. I mean, the list of things that one can do, I don't have the full knowledge, but there's,
Certainly not.
there's things that are, there's injections, but then there's also just like really intense face masks. And then there's things you can do to alter your smile that are, different than like getting full veneers or something. There's like smaller things. So we haven't cured the common cold, but if you have money, you can redo your aesthetic. So that's kind of the interesting thing. I think as human society, that's been our priority. We've clearly prioritized the looks and not, you know, maybe how we feel.
Well, I don't know. I think it's multifaceted. And I'll just say on this last piece, maybe the overarching way of why it's changed a lot too is technological advancement, to your point. The variety of things that are able to be possible, and the fact that it's less costly and less risky, or more the minutia of things. So I think that's interesting. But I do think that there are social circles in which being educated is a flex. I think that the whole movement around the performative male, that was not about their physical appearance. It was about the social coding of the way that they were dressing, and the fact that they were basically peacocking the fact that they are well read by reading books in public places and carrying around feminist literature with their matcha latte and their tote bag. So I do think that there are elements of that in society where it's kind of people making fun of it, but also I think that there was, oh, well, that man is worthy because that's why they were peacocking, right? Is because they want to seem educated, and they want to maybe seem antithetical to a different type of man. So it was being called performative, which has a little bit of a negative connotation, that you're just performing it and you're not actually believing in the feminist literature of the book that you're reading, or what have you. So I don't know if you can think of other examples in which we're valuing being educated.
I think being in the know, being cultured,
Yeah,
we signal that a lot with fashion, like having a cool shirt from the coolest brand and like knowing about the founder and all of those types of things, or like a niche band t-shirt. I think we signal our identity through our
right.
looks a lot, and we valued that a lot. And that is, yeah, it's signaling a lot of things. It's signaling an identity. Oh, I have this really cool running shirt from this running club I do. And that's signaling a part of my identity. And I'm optimizing because I'm doing this. Yeah, appearance is, yeah, I guess it is like we always say with food, you take the first bite with your eyes, first impressions.
Right.
And we're all trying to make this incredible first impression. And also, a lot of us are online making impressions to more than just our local community, but potentially the internet at large.
But also, that's how people are getting dates or not getting dates too. The signaling is the photos that you have on your dating profile, and that is sometimes the only image someone will ever see of you, and the only way people are judging you on which your worthiness to strike up a conversation or meet in real life. So the pressure's
Yeah,
intense. All
the
that to say,
pressure's
I think
intense.
it's quite intense. And yeah, there's many other avenues that I want to take this conversation. So I vote we do a part 2 in which we maybe discuss more elements in particular about health and wellness, sobriety circles, the day raves, GLP-1 usage. So
Yes, all of the above. And if anyone has any snippets, we will revisit this topic and get more into the human optimization conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, if any folks have any other additional snippets that they would want us to dig into in that secondary piece, throw it down in the comments, and any other thoughts you might have about things that we've brought up. And maybe I'd be curious if folks want to share how they might look max in their own lives, what they do to to look max. So make that happen. Very interesting. All right. Onward. Our recommendations of the week. I will pass it to you, Teach. What are you going to recommend to our audience?
This week, I'm going to recommend a documentary series that I just started watching called K Everything. It's available on HBO, and it explores the global impact of South Korean culture. It is with Daniel Dae Kim. He's an American of Korean descent, and he explores topics such as food, music, beauty, and fashion. He kind of frames it as, how did this one relatively small country in East Asia gain such massive influence on the rest of the world in recent times and in a relatively short amount of time? So they had a dictatorship until 1987 for a chunk of time where, censorship, all of that stuff. And so it's been this insane cultural boom of K-pop, K-beauty, like all of these things. And he's like, within my own lifetime, he's like, when I was a kid, no one in the small place in Pennsylvania that I grew up even knew where Korea was. They were like, are you Chinese or Japanese? That was pretty much their knowledge of Asia. And of course, he talks about something that I think a lot of Asian Americans of his age reflect on, is the experience of people not understanding your food when you bring it to school, or being embarrassed of that and that shame. And now everyone's, kimchi, and maybe they're even appropriating that and gentrifying your food and then re-explaining it back to you.
Sure.
So,
also, talk about a culture that is maybe the kings of looksmaxxing.
yes.
And maybe that's also part of their rise to fame, right? Is through K-beauty. That has been a huge way in which I think a lot of mainstream American culture has touched in with Korean culture, is through K-beauty, which is very obsessed with having very fair skin for women and utilizing certain ingredients, maybe naturally or not naturally occurring in the world, that lighten and brighten your skin.
And so youth, beyond obsessed with youth. I think, the looksmaxxing thing is very interesting, because I do think it seems as a society, aesthetics and appearance are the utmost valued trait. So,
right. And it's a culture that does a lot of social signaling. I think I love when we were in Thailand teaching English, we discovered that a lot of the Korean tourists, the young Korean tourists, couples wore matching outfits, not just full blown. These outfits were manufactured to be man outfit, woman outfit in the same exact design. And that was wild.
I wonder if that's still a trend. I'm super curious. But I vividly remember that.
I actually met a Korean American woman at a party a few weeks ago and brought this up, and she giggled and laughed, and her, I believe, fiance or husband, she said that they never did that because they were raised and met here, but she says that is very much still a thing.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes. So, I think I'm fascinated by Korean culture and love Korean food. And certainly in the last 10 years, I've gotten a lot more exposure to that. And so I'm part of that. I'm feeling it in real time. That shift, that globalization shift of maybe access to that culture and information about it. So I'm very intrigued to watch that.
Highly recommend.
Love K Everything.
What are you recommending?
Watch.
K Everything. Check it out. What are you recommending this week?
I am recommending that y'all listen to an episode of Trevor Noah's podcast that's called What Now? It is an episode in which he interviews Kareem Rama, and this episode is basically about content overload. That's what it's titled. And for anyone who doesn't know, Kareem Rama is the face of the very, very famous viral TikTok and Instagram channel called Subway Takes, in which Kareem asks folks on the trains in New York City, so what's your take? And then he agrees or disagrees, and they essentially engage in some sort of discussion about it. But the reason that I'm recommending this podcast episode is because the conversation that they have is really about modern short form content. And Kareem talks about the journey that he went on to create something that he wanted to create that happened to gain a lot of fame. And now, in a very short amount of time, he's seeing so many people try to emulate that same model for instant fame, and how we've kind of turned the corner of a lot of that content being formulaic and not feeling as authentic as maybe it once did. And so I think that, yeah, it's an interesting, for me, it was an interesting thought exercise that prompted some interesting questions about, even if a format works in the internet, should we be duplicating it? And are people duplicating it just for the sake of virality and for fame and for money, as opposed to utilizing it as a mechanism to create an interesting social project to put out there into the world, or to say something that they really want to say. And so, yeah, I think it's for me, as all of us, we continue to engage with content on the internet, which is the content that we care about, which is the one that we should be promoting and should be consuming and giving our attention to. We know in this attention economy, that's everything. So yeah, I think it's an interesting podcast right now. Kareem Rama is doing a big press junket because he's revitalizing a secondary concept that he has called Keep the Meter Running. And the original concept were, I think they were shorter videos, 6 to 8 minutes, something like that. And the concept was basically he goes into a cab, meets with the cabbie, and tells the cab, take me wherever you want in New York and keep the meter running. And so they basically spend the day together and keep the meter running the whole time. And these cabbies, yeah, share bits of their culture with him, share bits of their experience of this very specific trade that exists here in a very unique way. And yeah, he's essentially revamped that concept, Keep the Meter Running, and is doing longer form videos on YouTube. So that's the impetus for him doing this press junket and being interviewed right, left, and center. And yeah, I think it's cool that he is utilizing the fame that he's gotten from Subway Takes and really trying to think about what kind of content he wants to create. So it's an interesting episode if you're a creator, if you're a consumer of content, to think about how content works, how content gains fame, how it's evolving in a very short amount of time. So I found it an interesting listen.
Very interesting. I mean, I think it's really cool that Subway Takes is now allowing him to pursue other projects. And we talk about this a lot, like our ethos around this, the impetus of creating content. I feel kind of strongly, but also torn about this idea of chasing algorithms and thinking about the audience,
Right.
wanting the audience to engage, but also not being a slave to that audience. And I mean, I think it's fair that people are being inspired by formulas that really work. And is that still like an artist? And I guess it really is about the goals behind it. Are you literally doing this just to, like, for the sake of virality? Or are you doing it because it's something you feel strongly about and have a bigger vision for, I guess, is maybe the distinction?
Totally. As someone myself who is starting a content creation journey, and gave me a lot to think about. But I think, yeah, like I said, for anyone who's also consuming, what is it that we're enticed by and why? And yeah, so recommend giving that a little listen.
I certainly shall. Thank you for sharing.
Sure thing. Well, it's been another real one. Teach. Another message in a bottle that we've cracked open
Absolutely
for our
real.
audience. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please like and subscribe. Please tune in again next week, and see you on the next one.
Have a stunning week. Thanks, y'all.